What is up, everybody? It's Sam Hoops to Homes Coleman, and today I'm going to give you guys a look into my life and let you know who the heck I really am. Alright guys, so if you're new to the channel, here's where I give tips and tricks on how to buy and sell real estate. I do property tours and I help real estate agents build their business. But this video, I wanted to give you guys an idea about who I am, where I come from, and how I ended up here in this virtual space. Also, add me on all social media, at Hoops to Homes, at Sam Coleman Jr., and like, subscribe, drop a comment. I'm going to give you guys a trip down memory lane to let you know who I am, where I'm from, and I'm going to start with where I'm from. So as of now, I'm 33 years old. It's 2021. I'm 33 years old. I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. Raised by my mother, Peggy Coleman. I have an older sibling. Her name's Takia Mays. We have different fathers. We grew up in pretty much what you know as Baltimore. If you've ever seen anything regarding the city of Baltimore, what you see now is a little bit similar to how we grew up, except things have begun to evolve. Like anything with time, things typically get better in inner cities. I did not necessarily grow up wanting to be a professional basketball player early on. I didn't start playing basketball until I was about 8. Fun fact about me, I actually played in a band all through elementary school into high school, and then I had to make a decision to play basketball or continue being in a band and pursue music. I ultimately chose basketball, obviously, because I'm not known for my musical skills or my creative skills, but that's what I started doing at an early age. In elementary school, I was that awkward kid that was too big for his body. I had big feet. I was also a little chunky because I didn't start to thin out at all. I wore glasses. I had bad asthma. And thank God, I grew up a little bit. But growing up in Baltimore, I started working at a very young age. I started working, interning at a grocery store that was from our church. The owner of that grocery store went to our church. I grew up in church. I was actually in church before I was even born. My mother was pregnant. She's been in church all her life, and I decided to give my life to Christ when I was 8 years old, and then since then I have rededicated my life. But that was my upbringing in church, and you have to work for what you want. So my mom worked 2 jobs, 27 and 30 years, I believe, for the state and for the government. We had a really solid life. We never had to go without water, without food or anything. We didn't have the most lavish life by any means, but we also did not go through the worst of the struggle. There's always somebody, I believe, that will have it worse than what we had. You know, did we have the struggle meals from time to time? Absolutely. You know, did we ever want for anything? No. My mother always made sure we had what we wanted and what we needed. Not necessarily what we wanted, because I had to start working at an early age to figure out if I want to have nice things, I gotta go work for it, because Peggy ain't having it. My older sister, she also started working at a very young age. We both grew up just with that mentality that we have to work for what we want. My mom worked her butt off to provide all of our needs, and as a single mom of 2, there was no way that she could provide our wants as well on the salary that she was getting. So to fast forward, just to not bore you guys, just a little bit about my upbringing as a kid. But going through middle school, junior high school, and high school, I started to desire the finer things in life. That's where this whole luxury real estate thing kind of started, because back then I always liked nice things. I always liked to have the finer things, and I knew that in order to have them, my mom wasn't going to give it to me. Nobody was just going to hand it to me. I had to go work for it. So I bought my first car at 16. Got my learner's permit at 15 and 9 months, on the exact day that I turned 15 and 9 months, because I was not waiting any longer to ask my mother to take me anywhere. Learned how to drive, bought my first car for $800. It was a brown 89 Chevy Caprice, and none of the windows rolled down, and it was brown. It was a beater. That was my very first car. So I did that at 16, and I was the coolest kid around. That was the foundation that was laid for my future life that I live now. I always knew that I was going to get whatever I wanted as long as I could go figure out a way to go get it. So to fast forward now into playing basketball in high school, I played junior varsity for 3 years. 3 years I played JV. I'm not embarrassed to say it. I was for a very long time. But I played junior varsity for 3 years. I graduated high school at 6'6", 6'7", something like that. But I was 175, 180 pounds. You couldn't give me away. There was no school that was knocking down the door saying, hey, we want this tall, skinny kid that has bad asthma and he can't even run suicides or sprints without wheezing and wanting to pass out. I was that kid. I then also decided that I wanted to start breaking my glasses because I wore glasses. I had bad vision, but I broke my glasses because, listen, in high school, tall, lanky, big feet, clothes are just too big, glasses, asthma, and I can't make a layup. Come on, like, who wanted that life? Even then, I did not want that life, but I was determined to get out of it. So I started to chuck my inhaler into the woods when I walked home from school. I used to break my glasses because I knew my mom's insurance only allowed for a certain amount of pair a year. So I would just get rid of them. Mom, I'm sorry, but I did that. It was brutal. It was awful. So as I go into my senior year of high school, I now have an opportunity to be on the varsity team. And my coach comes to me and says, Sam, if it wasn't an embarrassment to this program, you would be playing JV again. I'm not going to beg you to be good or to work on your craft. But in my mind, I'm like, I'm trying so hard. My body, my mind is telling me yes, but my body's telling me no. My body just won't do it. I don't know how. My knees hurt, my fingers hurt, my elbows hurt. I was so tall. I think at that time, at 15, I wore a size 15 shoe. At 16, I wore 16 shoe. It was just getting out of control, and I didn't know what to do. And everybody looked at me like I'm just supposed to be this kid that can be LeBron James, and I'm like, I don't look anything like him. Now I am out of high school, graduate high school, didn't have the best grades. I had mediocre, subpar grades, and I got an opportunity to go to junior high school, junior college. So I go to junior college, I believe it was in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Yes, I went to Lackawanna Junior College, which is a football junior college, and I had an opportunity there. I got a partial scholarship, but Sam screwed up. My grades, they weren't the best. So going into, I was set myself up for failure going in with subpar grades. I barely got in with the skin of my teeth, and not being able to be that good in basketball, I wasn't really the guy that they were going to go to bat for to keep on the team. So I lost my scholarship back home, and now 18 years old, back at home, turning 19, and my mom goes, you know, Sam, you're not going to sit here on this couch. You got to go do something with your life. You're not going to go to school. You're going to do something. So I went and got a job. I am now working at a warehouse. I worked at a warehouse driving a forklift, and I'm sitting here and everybody's looking at me like this kid is 6'8", 6'9" at this point, and he's driving a forklift, can barely fit in it, but I had to do what I had to do because my mom wouldn't let me sit at home and be a bum. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for not raising a bum. Now I am getting the itch to play basketball again. So I start playing, start going to open gyms, random places, and then I get invited by a college coach to go play at an open gym. I'm playing at Coppin State University, not coping, not chopping. Everybody makes fun of it, and even when we played West Virginia, all the fans were, Coppin's not a state. We know that. I know that Coppin's not a state, but I went to Coppin State University to play at this open gym, and needless to say, I impressed the coach. I got a knock on the window. It was a big window that overlooked the gym, and the coach knocked on the window and said, told the players to tell me to come upstairs. Then I talked to the coach. I'm sitting in his office. He asked me where I went to school. I said nowhere. I work at Cisco Foods. I drive a forklift in the freezer from 11 p.m. to 7 in the morning. And he goes, well, I want to give you a full scholarship, son. And that is how my Division I career started. Now I'm going to really fast track to get you to where I am now. So I'm playing Division I basketball. It's 2008. The market crashes. As many people during this time at my age, we have no idea what the market crashing is happening, what that means. We got President Obama, that's our new president. All this good stuff is happening, but then my body starts to take a turn. All of a sudden, now I am more athletic than I've ever been. I'm 195 pounds, which I've never been that size, but at 6'10", I continue to grow. 6'10", 195 pounds, which I'm still a stick figure, but I became so athletic, and that became my fuel. And I started to run more. My asthma started to, I started to outgrow my asthma. And I was ultimately a preseason first team all-conference player. I didn't average a lot of points, a lot of rebounds, but I figured out that key word, work, the work that I put in, I can control. I was always early to practice, always stayed late, and I would outwork everybody. If it was a sprint, I was the first one across the line. If it was running for distance, if it was getting in a weight room, whatever needed to be done, I did it. That was the foundation and nature of my life. That is why I am who I am now. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. I am leaving college. I am a senior. It is time for me to go embark in my professional basketball career. I had no opportunity. Nobody was coming to me to say, hey, Sam, you're going to be drafted, until one day I was playing basketball, again, an open gym scenario. This is how my entire career was, just being extremely blessed by being in the right place at the right time. I was playing a pickup basketball at an open gym at the Carmelo Anthony Center in Baltimore, and a female coach, Daphne, she comes up to me and she says, hey, I think my husband, Russ, could help you. I said, okay, that would be great. I meet Russ at an outdoor park. We talk. He said, yeah, I can put some weight on you. You're going to get an opportunity. I can make you some money overseas. I have some connections. Fast forward, I train, get in the best shape of my life, and then I meet an agent. He hooks me up with an agent. I'm working with his agent, and they say, well, I have one other guy that I think could help you. This guy's name is Weasel. His name is Robert Gant. But Weasel, his name is Weasel. That's what everybody calls him. He had no front teeth in his mouth, but he was supposedly the man. So I'm getting ready to go embark on my professional career, and I meet the guy from the hood with no teeth. They call him Weasel, but he can get me my opportunity in the NBA. Who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? But it worked. So I get an opportunity to hop in my car. At this point, I have a 1996 Lincoln Town Car. We hop in my car and we go to Portsmouth, Virginia, to the NBA Combine. I've been training, I've been working all for this moment, and we're in the car with this guy, Weasel, and Russ. Russ has no teeth, but I'm there, and I'm like, you know what, God, I'm gonna make this happen. If this is what's supposed to happen, you make it so. Me and my mom, we prayed, we just let it be what it was. We got there, and the janitors that were cleaning the gym, preparing for the NBA Combine, they let me in the gym because I was 2 hours early. They were cleaning the gym, and because I was 6'10" and I looked like I was a player, they let me in. They got me some basketballs, and I was just in there working out on my own. I had no idea, zero clue what I was walking into or who would be there. I just know that this guy named Weasel with no teeth was supposed to help me. And I got there, I'm working out, I'm shooting, and then coming through the door, there are all these NBA scouts, Mitch Kupchak, all these big superstars, all these players are coming through the door, and they're like just watching me shoot and dunk the basketball. And they're like, well, who is this kid? I'm going to watch this kid, and he's not on the team. The game start, I'm now sitting on the sideline. They offer me an opportunity to work out amongst the other players that were not invited that just so happened to be there. So other people had a great idea. You don't have a job, nobody's answering the phone, go to the office. Go show up, hand them your resume. This is what I've done. This is who I am. Give me an opportunity, and I'm not leaving until I get it. That's who I was, and that's who I am. I got into a workout. I played power forward and center all my life, and now they put me in a workout with two small forwards and a point guard. Now I have to handle the ball, I have to shoot, I have to do these things that I've never done, that I've never even been taught before. I was not prepared, but I said, today I'm going to figure it out. Needless to say, by the end of that workout, the games commenced, people were going to lunch, and there was a guy, God rest his soul, Brent Johnson, BJ, the lead scout from the Houston Rockets. The assistant coach from the Minnesota Timberwolves invited him to lunch, and he yells, BJ, come on, let's go get lunch. BJ says, no, I'm going to sit here and watch Sam Coleman. I'll meet you guys in a bit. At the end of that workout, BJ came over to me and talked to me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, son, if you would have gone to any other school, you would have been a first-round draft pick. But I'm going to put you to the test. I'm going to fly to Houston, Texas. And if John Lucas says you can play, then you can play. Flies me to Houston, Texas. I was there for 2 days, supposedly. And then that turned into a week. And then John Lucas asked me, said, are you going back to Baltimore? I said, no. He said, you have no reason to. You should stay here and work out with me, train. And we started working out. All the big name NBA players started to come into those workouts, and I started to be around high level NBA caliber NBA players that are, some of them we still watch on TV today. And I was just floored. I could not believe that the kid from Baltimore that had bad asthma, wore glasses, and had no experience was now working out with NBA players. We had an opportunity to train, to do yoga, to weight training, just literally anything that you can think of that NBA players do to make themselves what they are. I was doing that, and I was just a kid from Baltimore. And one day on the track, we were running, and I'll never forget this. DeAndre Jordan and Othello Harrington, all these big guys were running. Our times were different than the guards. We were on the track, and they said, run around the track. You have 25 or 27 seconds for this sprint. You have 30 seconds for this sprint. You have 35 seconds for this. Every single sprint that we did, I came in first. I was determined. I never put my hands on my knees. I stood up no matter if I was about to pass out. I ran until I felt like my heart was going to stop, but I would not show that I was tired. And when I came across on the last sprint, John Lucas walked over to me and he called me sweet meat. Yes, he called me sweet meat. And I was so offended, annoyed. I was angry that he called me that, and everybody's laughing. And he goes, sweet meat, we're going to get you a job. Then next week, I was at the Toyota Center working out with the Houston Rockets, and I could not believe it. Yao Ming is standing there. This was the year he retired, and Yao Ming is standing there, and he goes, what's up, big man? And I look at him, and I'm like, dude, you're 7'20", you're 7'11". And I'm not talking about the story. This dude is massive, and he's working out, and I get to meet Yao Ming, and start training with the players, Chase Buttinger, and all these different players, all these first-round draft pick, Nick Wise. I'm like, man, I'm really here. The kid from Baltimore with the asthma that wore glasses with the baggy clothes that couldn't even touch the rim. I didn't dunk a basketball until I was 19. And now I'm here with the Houston Rockets. This is crazy. That was my journey to get to to make it to the NBA. Like, I'm here. Now, this is where the story turns, and I thought that my life was over. If you've made it this far, first I want to say thank you. I never thought that my life was that interesting, but to be where I am now, I'm so grateful, I'm so blessed, and there is no way that I could be here without the help of God and people that supported me and believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. Even now, I sometimes have this imposter syndrome where I'm like, me? Really? Seriously? Thank you so much that you even thought of me. And like, I sell $1 million homes, but I was the kid from Baltimore. I still, in my mind, that's the Sam that I know, even though that's not who I am. I may not exude sorrow or any type of negative thoughts about myself. I don't feel those things or put them outwardly, but sometimes I'm like, man, that was who I am, and I'm really here. Like, I can really go from there to there. Thank you, God, so much, and thank you all for subscribing, for liking, for commenting, for encouraging me, for believing in me, for giving me referrals, all that stuff. But now the story turns. I am now getting ready to come to Las Vegas to work out for some NBA teams and potentially play at the NBA Summer League. The draft has happened. I did not get drafted. I went through all these series of workouts, training with these teams, and nobody drafted me. Well, what I realized, what I didn't know then, that I know now, I was what they call an under-the-radar guy, a guy that had potential but wasn't really necessarily ready at that very moment. Why pay an NBA salary for a kid that nobody knows about? Nobody knew about me. I was basically the best kept secret. They could get some cheap labor, and if I turned into a great kid that could play basketball, great. And I could be the guy that nobody even knew about, and I could have this incredible story, which I still do have an incredible story, but God had a different plan for me. So I came to Las Vegas. I worked out for overseas teams. I had NBA scouts. I had other big agents coming to see me play. And in this one particular workout, I tore my ACL. It was the very first play of the game. I remember looking at the clock. I prayed. Jump ball goes up. We win the tip. I'm in a small forward position. I'm standing on the perimeter. A pass is made. Entry pass is made to my guy. I steal the pass. They pass the ball up front. I run that ball down. I catch it, and I take off because I'm about to throw it down. And the guy that made the pass chased me down to grab that pass, and he missed the ball because I took it, and I went in the air to dunk it, and he grabbed my leg. Yeah, he missed the ball and grabbed my leg. When I looked, my leg, I was completely horizontal in the air. I grabbed the ball. When I looked down, my kneecap was on the inside. It looked like Jell-O, and then I started freaking out. I land. Everybody starts running on the floor. I start screaming. As I land, my knee bounces back in place, but it's still so loose. I lay there. Everybody comes over. My agent comes over and help me. They help me get up. Everybody starts clapping. I can't really put any weight on it, but it's not that bad. They're like, oh, man, it must be a severe bone bruise because you're moving a little bit. Go back and see the trainer. He pulls, he tugs, he shifts. He looks at my agent and he shakes his head. They walk outside, come back. Sir, your ACL is torn. I didn't know what that meant. I just knew it was bad because of the reaction that everybody had at the time. I get on a plane, go back to Baltimore. I get my ACL repaired by the Baltimore Ravens doctor, which was supposedly a really great doctor. Do my patella tendon surgery, and then I start rehab. Fly back to Houston. I get with some of the best rehabilitation people. They work with the Houston Rockets. Everything is going smoothly. I'm a little discouraged, but my mom is praying for me. I have people that support me. My agent's helping me, and then bam, the NBA lockout happens. During this time, the NBA lockout happens. No contact between players. Nothing is happening. Nothing even remotely close to me having another opportunity to play in the NBA. Now, I'm in a hurry. I start hurrying to try to get myself better, which is a huge mistake. I started hustling to try to get back. All I knew was I was just with Yao Ming. This can't be the end. This isn't over for me. I was so close. I made it to the front door, and now it's over? No, there's no way. The NBA lockout is still going on. I go play for the developmental team in the G League, which is now known as the G League, which was the D League before, and I'm okay. Nick Nurse is my coach, and I'm shooting the lines off the ball. I'm playing really well, but for some reason, I didn't have that same aggression. I wasn't jumping high. I was a step slower. I wasn't able to perform the way that they knew me. I wasn't a kid that was flying, that was just relentlessly doing everything, but in my mind, I could work harder than everybody else, but my body wasn't illustrating the work that I had put in prior. I remember my very last game before they released me, Nick Nurse comes over and talks to me. I think I went like 0 for 5 from the three-point line, and Nick Nurse comes over to me, he says, Sam, he tells me a story about when he was in high school about shooting. It was a shooting scenario. He actually taught me he made me stay after practice every day to shoot and make 100 threes from 5 spots on the floor. He made me do that, and that improved my shooting so much. Nick Nurse, if you ever see this, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. But then I was released the next day because I didn't make another three-point shot after that. So I was released. Not the end of the world. Players get cut all the time. But now I'm back home trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. I get another opportunity to go play basketball abroad. I ended up playing in Mexico, Japan, Israel, in Europe, in Montenegro, Serbia, all these different places I got to travel the world to see. I've lived in so many great countries, made so many great contacts, had such great teammates, and I got to see the world, and I got paid to do it. It was amazing. And then I get another opportunity in 2015 to go to the Phoenix Suns, and my agent tells me, he says, Sam, this is the closest that we've been waiting for this opportunity. They send me to the G League. I think I'm in the best shape of my life, which I was in the best shape of my life. I do everything that's possible to get there, and then I get released. I come home from being released, and I don't know what to do. I'm like, I just got cut from the G League at this point in my career where I feel like I'm the best that I've ever been. I'm more mature. I'm about 235, 240 pounds. I feel like I have it. I have everything that I need. I was 8% body fat, 7% body fat. I was in phenomenal shape. I could run like a deer. I was jumping again, and then I get released. What do you do when you do everything right and you think that you have an opportunity, but it's not? So I came home and I decided not to lick my wounds. I quit. I said, this is the last time that I'll play basketball again. And my wife, who we were engaged at the time, she basically said, Sam, you got to do something different. You have to do something different because I don't want to carry us anymore. I don't want to, I don't want to go through this. So I went and took a job in Mexico. It was a very low paying job. I ended up not getting paid at all. I got a severe quad contusion in mini camp, and they ended up sending me home because that quad contusion was so bad. It was, even when the swelling went down, I could barely walk, let alone run. So they released me. I got released and I didn't get paid. I came back home, and then same thing. Sam, you got to do something. I ended up getting the job, filling out a bunch of job applications. I was humiliated. I started driving for Uber and Lyft, and I took a job working for Solar City. This was the most humiliating thing that I ever had to do. Not that there's anything wrong with those jobs, but in my mind, I was the kid that was at the Toyota Center, and this was a story that I continued to tell myself that I belonged in the NBA, and I felt rightfully so that I belonged in the NBA. And everywhere I went, I didn't get to, it wouldn't leave me alone. It haunted me. And I was so angry at God because at 6'10", at Target, why aren't you on a basketball court? At the grocery store, why aren't you playing basketball? I want to play basketball, lady, but I keep getting cut. Everywhere I went, that was my life. And for fans, for people that are out, be sensitive to people that are not playing basketball. at sometimes told people they do have to go to the grocery store. They do have to, go to Target sometimes. We need deodorant. We're like regular people. So like, I'm not on the basketball court because, I kind of need to eat too. So that's what I lived, and it was awful. It was torture to be out in public, and everywhere I go, I look like an athlete, but I was no longer an athlete. And then 3 months later, I get a call back. Sam, are you ready to play? They flew me to Dallas to play. I was not in shape. I hadn't touched the ball in 3 months. And then by that Monday, I was back in Las Vegas again. I had been cut again for the last time. And I remember sobbing, crying on my wife's shoulder because I could not believe that I committed 20 plus years of my life, where I started to where I got to, and it was just over. This was the beginning of the grieving from leaving the game. My identity, who I was wrapped up in being a basketball player. And now that I had gone through this entire freaking life of commitment, discipline, giving it all that I got, waking up early, running the hills, doing one more rep, increase, run faster, run harder, give more. And then it was just over. It was over. What do you do with that? How do you take what you've done and then just let it go? And then move on. And then now you're just a regular guy. Just a very large regular guy that's tormented everywhere you go because you don't play basketball and you look like you got a baby face and you look like you're in college and everybody says, well, you should be playing basketball. If you say, no, I don't, you're a waste of height. I had to live with that. And I know some people may say, oh, what was you, tough life that you have? But it was emotionally and mentally taxing on me for so long. And now I'm 6'10", driving for Uber, and I could run a mile in 5 minutes and 40 seconds without stopping and then go play basketball. And I was driving for Uber. Yep, that was me. And, I could shoot 40% from three-point line, but I was driving for Uber. That was what my life was, and I needed to figure something out. So I decided to get into real estate. Now fast tracking to real estate. I got into business in 2015. I pursued my real estate career and started successfully selling real estate. I sold my first $1 million home 4 months into the business. It was really the focus was I wanted to be the best because I felt like I didn't get that fair shot and I wasn't in control. My life was dictated based on somebody else. Now I'm in control. Nobody can stop me from treating people right. Nobody can stop me from talking to more people. Nobody can stop me from loving on people. Nobody can stop me from doing open houses or door knocking or making phone calls. I am in control and I'm able to do whatever it is. My income is endless. So that's the journey that I started to embark on. Driving for Uber, my very first sale was from an Uber ride, from somebody that I talked to and gave them a business card. I had no idea what I was doing, but I figured it out. And I started going down that path of just talking to more people, being nice to more people, and building meaningful relationships. So if you're in real estate, if you're in sales, and you think that there's no way that you can redeem yourself, that you can be resurrected from where you were to where you are now, I am living proof that you can go from zero to hero. When I first got my real estate license, I was driving a 2005 Chevy Impala. It smelled like cigarettes. I had a 500 credit score. My spoiler on the back flew off as I was turning onto Fort Apache. If you're familiar with Las Vegas, I made a right turn. My spoiler just flew off the back of the car. And literally, I laughed. I remember laughing hysterically because I'm like, life can't get any worse than this. And I guarantee somebody has it worse than this, but like, this is bad. I have no money. My wife actually gave me my $100 to take my real estate exam. It was actually pretty embarrassing. It was pretty pathetic at the time. And we actually had to charge my MLS dues on a credit card so that I can actually start practicing. And then I got to work right away. I was committed and I told my wife that I would give her a return on her investment. And since then, I made it my business that my family, my children, nobody in my family would ever have to worry about money again. And I'm going to do everything in my power. Nothing will ever stop me from being successful in real estate or any endeavor that I ever embark on based on the journey that I've had to get to where I am now. I know I'm pretty late doing this, but I just want to encourage you guys and let you know I went from being an agent that knew nothing, that had a 500 credit score, to having great credit, to having never having to worry about bills being paid, being able to successfully sell luxury real estate and actually know what I'm doing, helping people, first-time home buyers as well, and helping people travel from different states to come to Las Vegas to start their lives. New lives are being born, people being resurrected and having new opportunities. I help agents grow their business from where they from where they were to where they are, and even experienced agents that have lost that fire. I help ignite those opportunities and ignite that fire back into them so they can pursue new opportunities in the real estate industry. And I'm now a top 1% agent. I'm less than the top one, more than the top 1%. I just found out that I am in the top 50 agents in Las Vegas out of 18,000. That is a huge deal. Just 5 years ago, I had nothing. I didn't have the cars. I didn't have the suits. I didn't have anything. I didn't have cameras and equipment or anybody. It was just hard work and determination and a blessing from God over and over and over and over again. So if you see this video, I just want you to know that there is nothing that you can't do. There are limitations, and the only limitations that we have are the ones that we believe that we have. Listen, if you are first time joining me, if this is your first time joining me, feel free to like, subscribe, drop a comment, and it would mean the world to me if you got to the end of this video and you made it this far. Let me know if you're struggling with something, if there's something that you've overcome. What can you use to encourage somebody in the comments below? If they're going through a tough time or you've overcame something, drop it in the comments below, and I will see you guys on the next video. This will be on the premiere, so you can watch it whenever you want, or even share it, send it to somebody, encourage somebody who feels like giving up. Add me on all social media, at Hoops to Homes, at Sam Coleman Jr. I'm so grateful for you guys. And right now, my phone number is 702-883-7845. I look forward to talking to you guys soon.